Every year, through the PHEITI report, the PHEITI Multi-Stakeholder Group, or MSG, agrees and issues specific recommendations for government agencies that regulate or oversee the mining, oil, gas, and coal industries. This exercise, which began in the publication of the first PHEITI report in 2014, has become an impetus for significant reforms to strengthen government systems and improve the management of natural resources. This year, despite the challenges caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, we underline the progress made on PHEITI recommendations that the agencies adopted and in implementing other initiatives that sought greater transparency and accountability in the extractives. As with any organization, the PHEITI endured the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. Several activities slated in the first half of the year have been postponed or delayed due to drastic measures that have been imposed to contain the spread of the disease. In light of the situation, the MSG has adopted alternative modes of discussing and approving critical documents and action steps that directed and sustained the implementation of EITI. Likewise, the PHEITI Secretariat has adopted alternative work arrangements to enable the continuity of PHEITI operations under difficult circumstances. With these proactive measures, the MSG in May 2020 had its first ever virtual meeting that was immediately followed by the online editions of activities and initiatives mapped out in PHEITI's work plan for 2020. Indeed, the pandemic presented opportunities for the PHEITI to rise above the challenge. Recognizing the need to prioritize public health and safety, the PHEITI utilized available technologies to conduct orientation, meetings, and stakeholder consultations. The PHEITI migrated its annual LGU Roadshow and national conference to online platforms in an effort to sustain public debate and constructive engagement in the extractives amid challenging times. Meanwhile, the Mines and Geosciences Bureau has released on March 27, 2020, a memorandum that authorized the realignment of unspent Social Development and Management Program, or SDMP funds for COVID-19 response. With the said resources, companies provided medical assistance and relief packs to households and frontline workers in mining host and neighboring communities. As of July 2020, the mining industry has realigned about 402 million pesos of its collective SDMP funds, providing relief to over 1.2 million families and close to 210,000 frontline workers across the country. As one of the pillars of the EITI process, EITI reporting that operationalizes data transparency in the extractive remains indispensable despite the COVID-19 situation. Fortunately, a new and improved version of ORE, or the online reporting in the extractives, was developed, addressing the functionality and sustainability issues identified in the old versions. ORE replaced the cumbersome paper template reporting with a web-based tool where government agencies and extractive companies submit required EITI data. Hosted outside the government system in its first 2 years of implementation, ORE has finally found a permanent home under the Department of Finance web system, with a domain name of its own and with the PHEITI Secretariat as the direct administrator. Now more efficient, cost-effective, and easier to maintain, ORE is currently being used in the ongoing reporting cycle for the 7th PHEITI report. EITI mainstreaming, or systematic disclosure, is about making data transparency an integral part of how the government manages the extractive sector. As such, the PHEITI continuously works with government agencies to make extractives data and information readily and publicly accessible through existing systems and portals. To enable stakeholders and the public to scrutinize government agreements with extractive companies, the PHEITI developed in 2015 a contracts portal where over 50 metallic mining contracts and hundreds of other supporting documents are disclosed. A best practice in EITI implementation and now a critical platform for extractives information disclosure. The contracts portal will soon disclose non-metallic mine contracts and information on environmental monitoring through reports by the Multipartite Monitoring Teams, or MMTs. The PHEITI Extractives Data Generator, or EDGE, has also been revamped to serve as PHEITI's databank of reconciled and disaggregated data on government revenues from extractive companies. Now with 7 years' worth of datasets covering fiscal years 2012 to 2018, EDGE can generate, filter, and sort data to address users' data needs. The Department of Energy has taken steps to disclose project-level payments and production data of operating oil and gas projects through its website. Meanwhile, the Department of Budget and Management has committed to establish and make available by 2021 an online portal where LGUs could immediately verify the details of their respective shares and national wealth. The DBM's ID group has already started designing the system for this purpose. The PHEITI plans to review all these individual transparency efforts by government agencies and integrate and harmonize them in one extractives data and information hub, in line with the Philippine Open Government Partnership National Action Plan for 2019 to 2022, where the Department of Finance committed to institutionalize transparency and accountability in extractives by mainstreaming EITI implementation in the Philippines. Another important requirement of the EITI standard is the disclosure and publication of the beneficial owners, or the real owners of extractive companies, to help level the playing field, fight corruption, and combat money laundering and illicit financial flows within and through the extractive sector. To fulfill this requirement, the PHEITI has worked with the Chamber of Mines of the Philippines and the Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC, in holding a workshop on beneficial ownership, or BO disclosure, to help extractive companies comply with SEC's Memorandum Circular No. 15, Series of 2019. MC15 revised the General Information Sheet to include a BO declaration form requiring all registered stock and non-stock domestic corporations to disclose their beneficial owners. The PHEITI is requesting companies for a copy of the BO declaration form that they submitted to the SEC and to consent in the publication of their BO information in the 6th PHEITI report. The EITI standard underscores greater gender inclusion in the extractives. As such, the PHEITI has commissioned a scoping study on gender, specifically in the large-scale metallic mining sector. The scoping study is expected to be published within the year and is intended to inform recommendations for reforms to make the sector more gender inclusive. In addition, a gender survey questionnaire that was used in the scoping study was adapted, finalized, and included as one of the new forms in order. Starting the 7th reporting cycle, companies are now required to fill out this gender form to report data and information on women in extractives, such as the number of workers, positions held, compensation, benefits, and anti-sexual harassment policies and mechanisms, among others. To strengthen EITI implementation in the oil, gas, and coal sectors, the Department of Energy is considering the issuance of a department circular that will make it mandatory for petroleum service contractors and coal operating contractors to participate in EITI reporting. The draft department circular is currently undergoing legal evaluation. The Mines and Geosciences Bureau has organized multi-sectoral consultation activities to discuss proposed amendments to Republic Act No. 7076, or the People's Small-Scale Mining Act, and to Executive Order No. 79, Series of 2012, which imposed a moratorium on new mineral agreements. These events include a National Assembly of Small-Scale Miners that was held in July 2019 in Nabunturan, Compostela Valley. Previously, the MGB adopted PHEITI's reporting template for small-scale mining and its efforts to institute reforms in the sector. Finally, the MSG has developed a legislative advocacy plan that aims to lobby Congress for the enactment of a law that institutionalizes EITI implementation. To date, 2 Senate bills and 2 House bills that seek EITI institutionalization remains pending in Congress. These and more are the initiatives that the PHEITI and its partner agencies are working on to synergize extractives transparency, pursue better resource governance, and enable sustainable development of communities that host extractive projects. As the PHEITI continues to advocate reforms and monitor progress in implementing recommendations, it is hoped that government agencies, as well as other stakeholders, would work more strategically and efficiently together, harmonizing and streamlining efforts to make the EITI process more relevant and its impacts sustainable.